Welcome, welcome, welcome online. There's about 20 people online, another 15 or so here in person. Welcome to your Monday, August 26th Power Hour meeting. We are still down one sister. She's still recovering from realm training.
Oh.
She's going to be back next week. They'll be back with the three of us. So we've got Claire Fulton and myself, Carly Fulton. Welcome, welcome. So first question is, how was the weekend? And more specifically, how were open houses? Did we do any open houses? Good thing I did a survey before the meeting because nobody wants to tell us live. So I have got some notes, but anybody online do any open houses? And you did one in Barrie, 2 visitors Saturday, 4 on Sunday. It's not terrible. I know one of Brampton, she only got 1 on Saturday. She got another 3 on Sunday. So far Sunday looks like it was the busier day for open houses. The busiest one I heard about was Clayton did one in Scarborough and he had about 25 groups each day. So I think it's an 899 list, detached house in Scarborough, brand new listing. So it wasn't something that had been open house more than once. So he got a lot of good activity. Yes, that's on Brian Martin. Yeah. So that's good turnout in Scarborough. Barrie, I'm not surprised. It's more of a vacation sort of area, right? People are out and about, cottages, boating, that kind of thing. But yeah, did you hear anything about open houses or was it quiet for you guys?
I didn't see many open houses. I didn't see many out there at all. How about Markham? Because I live in Markham, seen a lot of open house size this weekend. No, I think we're getting towards the end of the summer. I think a lot of people are sort of trying to book it off. I think until the kids get back to school.
Yeah.
I think we're probably kind of slow. Appointments, Nelson, did you keep track of those? Or?
Surprised.
So it's a lot of appointments. So
offers typed over the last 2 days.
okay, we have a lot of listings now. So 120 doesn't impress me anymore. So
220.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot better. Okay,
Does that impress you?
Okay, that's better.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Do we have more active listings from office?
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, the office 250 or something there. So so it's quite a bit, right? And the real estate board is over 23,000. So I'm including leases there too. I'm just throwing all in one bag.
Yeah, we're still doing a ton of leases. So.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, maybe we'll write the stats. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start that. Okay, so we just finished here with Chris there. So now it's the summertime. This is sort of Caitlin's spot there. I guess I'll take her job right now too. Did you make notes for Chris at all? Or?
I didn't know.
Okay, all right. So Chris just talked about your listing presentation and make sure you got your listing presentation done up. If you find it slow for the summer, you got this week, I guess, this week, and that's the end of it. The school starts next week and hopefully everybody's back to work. But he's talking about stuff that we've already talked about before, talking about your pre-listing package. Everybody has a pre-listing package. Pre-listing package is separate from your listing presentation, which is separate from your CMA. Everybody understands all those types of things. If you don't, you should or could, right? Pre-listing package is like a resume that you're going to hand off to your client before the appointment. It's not really doesn't talk about the property. It's just who you are and what you're doing, and I guess your people that recommend you and testimonials and all that type of thing. And then he's talking about when you do your CMA, have a photo of the house itself. He said go to your house and take a picture of the house and put that in your CMA. I think you just have to go to Geo Warehouse or Google and you'll be able to Google Street View and get the same thing and just do the snipping tool and snip your photo that way, but you can do that. He said, follow a checklist. You got to have a checklist. We have lots of systems for success and lots of checklists you should be doing for the presentation. And then away you go. And then the sales themselves, you've got your fact, your bridge, your tie down. This is any type of sale. So you get some type of objection. You're going to repeat the objection. You're going to bridge it, meaning you understand how important that's an important question for you. Then you're going to tie it down with the objection itself. But he started off the whole thing here saying that anticipate your objections and be prepared for it. And we talked about this a lot of time, and he touched on it. Well, prepare for an objection. Sorry, anticipate the objection and prepare for it. So what is he talking about there? What would that be? What would be an objection you're going to get from the seller?
Are you going to cut your commission?
How much is the commission?
Yeah, they're not saying did you cut your commission. They'll say what is your commission, right? So. Right? They never say you're going to cut. They say, what's your commission, right? And then usually that's never the first answer because they always reply, say, well, so-and-so said they're going to do it for X amount. Is that how it comes down? You guys tell me. So is your client asked your commission or you tell them the commission before they ask? So, nobody's done, hey, who's done that? Anybody here? When you do a listing presentation? Looking at the old dogs here. So has anybody ever asked you guys, what's your commission? What do you say?
We'll talk about it later.
Talk about it later? Okay. Anybody else? So if you're doing a listing presentation, and the client says to you, what's your commission? What do you, I was going to say, we'll get to that. What else? No?
Glad you asked.
Glad you asked. Right?
It's 5% plus HST.
Right.
And then analyze it.
I mean, I told you one of the agents here, what he says, look, over the phone anyways, he does this over the phone. Is the guy says, what's your commission? You say, I've never had a client complain about the commission I've ever charged. Right. And we'll talk about it when we get there. But I'm talking about you're at the meeting itself. You're there. Now's the time to talk. Right. So you got a point there. So the thing is, you gotta anticipate it. It will happen. You have to have the answers for it. I told you some time ago that I think it was either would have been Mike Ferry or Robbins or somebody there. They told the audience, okay, you've got a buyer and a seller, and they're $20,000 apart. I want you guys to talk about how you can overcome this $20,000 and get back to us. So there was a workshop. So everybody got talking. Everybody's talking at the back, and these two guys at the front are sitting there. They're finished already. And the guy says, "What? How come you finished? What'd you guys decide?" And they said, "We decided to split it." And that wasn't the exercise wasn't to split it. The exercise was to be powerful over somebody else. It wasn't to split it. That was the whole purpose of the exercise. But that was the answer. Anyway, so that was what he talked about today. I still like Chris. I think he's still doing good things. If you're not looking at Chris yourself, you should. For $30 a month, holy smokes, you get an hour, and it's very good content that we saw it here, right? And those people, I know a lot of people at home. Some people at home are doing it as well, but not everybody. Talking about Realm, are we okay with Realm? Is everybody okay with Realm?
Getting there.
Getting there. Okay with
Any
Realm?
questions?
Slowly but surely.
Because now they're coming out with another series, right? So they've got new training sessions for Realm to get to the next level. So once you've got to the basics, now Trev has got new training courses for the new Realm stuff. So you can look at that as well. Good. All right, I got lots of stuff here, but so do you. Let's just get to this to the facts. Okay, so as of August 25th, we have 23,898 active listings. We've been cruising around the 24,300 last week, 24,500 the week before. So we're starting to lose some listings. Why would that be? Is that because people are taking off the market, or hopefully they've been sold? Right? Hopefully the properties have been sold. We'll see. So the 23,000, let's say 24,000 active listings, same as last week, got about 11,000 are condominiums and about 13,000 are freeholds. So same story. Condominiums, owner-occupied condominiums are about 3,800 or 35%. For freeholds, it's about 7,400. About 57% of freeholds are owner-occupied. Put the two together, it's about 47%. About 11,000 properties are owner-occupied, meaning that 12,000 are not. So a lot of that's coming down on the condominium side. Yeah, so it's 35% versus 57. Sales for the first 25 days, we've got 4,400 last year. This year we got about 3,700. So sales are down about 15% for this month, which it's not much. I mean, and I believe that just going off memory here, I think August last year was probably one of the least months, or I assume the summer months are going to be the least months anyway. So down 15%. Last year was 44. This year's 37. So down about 15%. Condos are down 21% and freeholds are down 11%. Properties that sold for over asking and condominiums, about 23% of the properties that sold for over asking, 16% overall, and freeholds about 16% as well were sold for over asking. How's that strategy? Anybody use that strategy when you're pricing properties? Are people still underpricing properties?
Yeah.
So it's so, right? I've got an article here that the buyer talked about in the Toronto Star, said that they're looking for properties for a while now. And they decided that they saw one property in Scarborough for $800,000 and they were shocked that it sold for $1 million. So then they decided, so based on that, they're no longer going to be looking for underpriced properties. They're not going to be tricked again or fooled again. So they've decided they're not going to look at anything that's purposely underpriced.
Holding offers. They're not competing.
Holding off offers. People, so you got some buyers out there. So you gotta be careful out there. So again, 18% are selling for over asking, but most are not, right?
Mhm.
So be careful on that.
Yeah.
On the lease side, got 13,000 active listings, 7,000 are condo, 5,000, almost 6,000 are freeholds. And the leases themselves are actually up 25% for condos. And they're up 20% for overall and up 9% for freeholds on the lease side.
That's a big jump from last week even then.
Right.
Mhm.
So that's quite a bit there. Last week was 9%. Now it's 25. So again, last week I thought maybe that the rentals are going up because of the tenants and maybe because of students. And I think that's probably what's happening this week as well. Does anybody have any properties for lease right now? Nobody here. And what's going on? Getting activity? No activity? Some
I think a lot
activity?
of Turkish and Iranian people.
Okay.
No, like, I got 1 year front yesterday.
When you say Turkish Iranian, but these are Canadians or these are new Canadians or immigrants
And a lot
or
of newcomers.
newcomers?
Mhm.
Okay. So that's good. But it hasn't been rented yet?
I think we're gonna rent, they're gonna give us 1 year front, so I think,
When you're up front? Okay.
but then I still have two more.
Okay.
So one downtown and then one at Yonge.
Hmm. And what's going on here?
Activity is picking up. We still haven't had someone come forward with an offer. So again,
That's my thing, like, I'm getting some showings, but it's not like,
Yeah.
I'm not getting offers.
I've had it happen twice where people have put in an offer and then they've changed their mind themselves.
Backed out. Did they find something else or say why or?
We just need to change our mind.
Hmm.
That's it.
Interesting.
So I think rentals or leases are just like freeholds, right? I mean, if it's not, you can't lease it, then you got to reduce the price, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, it's
Just time or price.
just
Yeah.
kind of simple as that.
Mhm.
So I did something extra here. I don't know if you can follow this or not. So when I as of October the 25th, when I say condominiums, there's almost 11,000 condominiums are on the market right now. That includes freeholds, high rises, anything else that's on the condominium side, right? So then I broke it out and I went to the apartment condominiums, high rise condominiums. I want to see what that market's doing just to see what's happening. And we're talking about tenanted properties and things like that. So as of last night, active listings for the condos are 8,600. So 8,600 are strictly condominium apartments. Overall, 11,000. So 8,600 are condo apartments. Of those condo apartments for sale right now on the market, 2,800 or 38% of these, 33% of these properties are owner occupied, meaning that the others are not. 20% of them are tenanted. So remember that number, 1,700 of these units for sale have tenants in them. And believe it or not, 3,900 are vacant. 46% of the high-rise condominiums are vacant. That's crazy.
Mhm.
Now we go to the solds for the same period. There's 8,600. So far for the first 25 days, we've sold 1,100 of them. So 1,100 divided by 8,600, anybody wants to do the math on that for me? It's got to be about 7-1 months of inventory. And we've always said that 4-1 is the break even between a buyer market and a seller market. Now it's 7-1. Did anybody do that? Can somebody got a calculator? Take 8,600 divided by, no, take 1,100 divided by 8,600.
Yeah.
7%.
1,100 divided by 86.
8,600.
Yeah, one
It should be like 007, something like that.
7.8.
Yeah, 7.8%. Okay, so 7.8%. Now, that means 7.8 months of inventory. Everybody follow that numbers? Anybody follow those numbers, months of inventory? So that's important.
Almost 8 to 1, right?
Pretty much, almost. Now, of those, 400 were owner occupied. So 38% of the sales were owner occupied. And what did I say about tenanted properties? Tenanted properties represented 20% of the active inventory.
Mhm.
They represent 7% of the sales.
Mhm.
So only 400, actually 81 properties with tenant in it have sold. And vacant properties represent 53% of the inventory, or 578. So if people have said to me before, if you've got a tenant in that property, you're going to have a hard time selling. Is that true?
Yes.
And this just proves it because you've got 20% of the inventory is tenanted, only 7% are selling. So that tells me that the only way that a tenanted property will sell is if the price is compelling enough that someone wants to buy it with a tenant versus someone without a tenant.
Yeah.
So it comes down to what Nelson and I were talking about today. It's probably would be a good investment for the landlord to pay that tenant to leave early, or it's called cash for keys.
Mhm.
That'd be my suggestion. Because
Yep.
people are not, if you guys tell me yourself, you got a buyer that's got a tenanted property, you're going to buy that property?
No.
Especially when there's 4 other properties that don't have tenants. Right? So if you've got a client sitting there with a tenanted property, then you've got to seriously consider cash for keys and get rid of them now before you get all the house.
Yeah.
That's my advice there.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And just as a side note, you guys are not property managers. You guys are not sheriffs. You're not bill collectors. All right. There's an article here in the Star that a realtor got helping their client. Okay, I'll paraphrase it. So the tenant moved in August, and there's a property, it was a triplex, and the other 2 tenants are complaining about it. They had dogs there. They weren't taking care of the dogs. The dogs were doing the business inside the house. House was a mess. They were disturbing the other people. So the guy said, look, we're going to pay you to get out. We're going to give you 2 months back and leave. They said, okay. So he shows up with 2 months cash, shows the tenant the cash, and wants him to sign the N11. Tenant refuses to sign the N11. Then they get a bit of a scuffle. One of the tenant's friends robs him of the $4,600. Right. So he's got to phone the cops. Cops arrest them for robbery and for whatever they're doing. Guess what? The tenant's still there and they still can't get rid of them. So here's the lesson here. You're not property managers. I don't want you guys going to the tenant and handing them forms and handing them a bag of cash. And this is not your job. All right. And if somebody tenant, if they're being bad, then there's tools, right? There's what? Somebody's telling me that somebody's not paid rent now for a month. If the tenant hasn't paid rent, you need to give them notice. I think after 15 days, you give them first notice, right?
The day after you give them the notice, but they have 15
Day after, and then they have 15 days. So if you're and unfortunately, a lot of our clients are ma and pa investors, and they don't understand what's going on. But if that tenant is 1 day late, you need to give that guy notice that he got to pay up in 15 days, or otherwise we're going to start the process. Yeah. I wouldn't give them any leeway at all. But yourself, be careful, right? And I know what the sellers are going to say. Well, that's what I'm hiring you for. What, for $500? You're going to go out there and get
No.
Right. Anyway, so be careful about that. That's it.
Well, we'll just bounce back and forth on something. I think we're going to have some duplications. So with the stats came some information. We know the prices went down for the first time than we've seen in a couple months, even a year. So which means affordability has improved across Canada as well. So as housing became more affordable across Canada in July, following the interest cut rate from 5 to 4.5, they're looking at it in terms of how much their mortgage went down per month. So affordability went down in the sense that income requiring in Toronto went down by 5,400. So now income required is about 208,000. So obviously when the mortgage rates go lower, the payments go lower. So they're looking at it from an income point of view. And Vancouver also saw the same, where income required dropped by 5,000 to 226,000. Those are still really big numbers of affordability, meaning your average income needs to be about 200,000 to afford something in Toronto or Vancouver. So I'd still say affordability is still an issue, even though there are signs that it is improving. And then we've got a lot of stats comparing us to the States. So apparently, as of May, only 0.2% of mortgages in Canada were in arrears. So we would, by assumption, assume that it'd be a lot more, but it's actually not as much. That means payments were overdue by only 3 months. It's only 0.2 of mortgages in Canada that are facing that. However, in the US, it's a lot worse. So it's about 1% of mortgages that are about 90 days overdue. So Canada is trending a little bit ahead of the US in that sense. And so it is an indicator of financial stress when people do get into arrears. So we thought by now we'd see a lot more. There's still only about 100 power sales on all of MLS. So out of that 24,000, only about 100 are power sales. So it's not as much as you thought. And the people that are struggling are the smaller and medium Canadian sized banks. So the big five banks are not doing as worse. It's the smaller sort of private B lenders that are doing worse than the big banks. So that's where you're going to see the power sales come from. We've been going to a lot of parties lately. And, when you go to a social gathering, people are generally asking you, how's the market? How's it going? And something that I'm hearing consistently is I'm getting out of Ontario. I don't know if your clients are saying the same thing. Are you seeing movement to Alberta, the States, South America even? I'm getting out of Ontario. And yeah, Canada, I'm getting out of North America. I'm hearing that comment a lot. Julian's laughing too, because he just got back from Colombia. I'm pretty sure he's moving to Colombia now as well. So, so it's a common theme. And I mean, the stats are showing it as well, that people are transitioning. Right now, the US has a lot of investors. So all the Canadian investors sort of stopped investing in Canada. They moved over to the States. So apparently in the US, Canadian buyers accounted for 13% of total homes purchased.
Whoa, anyways.
Which is 13% of homes in the US are Canadian foreign buyers, and that's up from 10% from last year. So some of the big hotspots for Canadian buyers are Arizona, California, and the top one is Florida. And that is because of weather, vacation pricing as well, lifestyle, and they just see greater investment opportunities and retirement planning in those areas. So Florida was number one, Arizona was two, Hawaii was up there, California, New York, Texas, and then it even goes to smaller states, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, South Carolina, Illinois, and Ohio. So these are where foreign Canadians are investing into the states. So it's kind of interesting as well.
$1 million house will be if you start in the price, 2 houses in Arizona and 3 houses in Texas.
Exactly. And you get nice weather, nice sunny, hot weather, right?
It's funny about politics. So you got to be careful what's going on in politics down there, because Canada has a 2-year ban on foreign investors, which includes Americans.
Yep.
And what the Americans are saying, we want to do the same to Canadian. But Florida and Arizona are saying, no, we get 13%. You can't be doing that.
Yeah, no, it's true. So, I mean, they're getting in right now while they can, right? And sort of anticipating some other rules. The other thing that they were saying is a lot of people in the US are not buying right now because they're waiting for elections to come up. So like we have our sort of summer and regular seasons. They have seasons when it comes to elections, and a lot of people will hold off on buying until they figure out what's happening with elections. So that's why a little bit in the US, people are holding back from buying until they get an answer on that. Not that the answer will deflect or deter them, but that they just want to know what's happening and sort of have a bit of security that way. So that's going to happen as well.
People that they went to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
They sold their place here, they bought 3.
Yeah.
And their Airbnb 2 and moved in.
Exactly. Costa Rica. And then you hear about Panama as well. And then with those places, though, you have weather risks as well, because you have monsoon seasons and you have really heavy, crazy rainy seasons, and likely insurance won't cover a lot of that stuff. So that's the risk too. But Spain is a big one, Portugal as well. So a lot of people are moving. Even in Canada, I've got some pricing here on typical 1-bedroom all the way through to detached houses. And it's really crazy to see the differences between Toronto and all the different provinces. So in Alberta, we kind of know this information already, but a 1-bedroom on average would be about 325 Canadian. A 2-bedroom would be about 400,000. 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, about 443. This is in Alberta. Townhouse 42, and a detached is just over $1 million. So that's about what our average all of GTA pricing is like. And Vancouver, though, 1-bedroom is about almost 600,000. 2-bedroom is $1.4 million. A 3-bedroom, 2-bath on average is 2.6 million. Townhouse is 1.6, and a detached house, I don't know, they're pulling their stats from Korea as well. So it's not the typical sort of just downtown, but all of BC, average detached house is $8.4 million. All of them, like if you pull them all together on average. So then Toronto is not much better than that. That's Vancouver. Toronto average detached house is 4.7 million. Townhouse is 900. 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2.9. 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 900, and a 1-bedroom about 670,000. Kind of makes sense. It's the detached houses that get crazy when you pull them all together, right? And then you've got Halifax where they're trending 764. Ottawa's just about $1 million. Even Montreal's $1 million as well. So other than, Saskatchewan and those Western provinces, everywhere is expensive in Canada. I don't know if there's any relief in any of that. I think you had this article as well. You probably have a better one, but about cottage pricing as well and how they've been impacted. Also.
Yeah, just the article I have just talks about cottages going down 5% or so, the prices.
Yeah.
So anybody here doing the cards, looking at cards at all? No, no.
They had a little surge of inventory as well when the capital gains tax came out, and yeah, their sales are down and prices are down a little bit as well.
Mm.
You keep going on some
Okay,
economy.
so you can play with numbers, right? You can make
That's right.
numbers do whatever you want them to do. So what do you guys know about the pre-construction market in Toronto?
That's down 90%, is non-existent.
Was it down like 7? Like pre-construction sales are down like 7%. They haven't been this low for 20 years, right? It's been the lowest pre-construction and projects are being canceled and so on and so forth, right? So when I Google stuff, I have articles. I don't know if you guys do too. I just Google stuff, Toronto real estate, and I come up with articles. I got one here. It says GTA sets record high demand for pre-construction condos amid housing crunch. And I'm looking at what the heck, right? And it was Friday, August 23rd, 2024. I want to make sure it was the right year. It says GTA is a hot spot for real estate. Recently, demand for pre-construction condo has reached new heights. Many people are turning to these condominiums due to the housing shortage, but why is this happening? Let's find out. GTA housing market has been intense in recent years. As of 2023, the average home in Toronto was nearly almost $1.2 million, sharp increase of about 770,000 5 years ago. These are just normal houses. Reports Toronto Real Estate Board. The supply of housing is tight, but the demand keeps rising. Why pre-construction is high demand? Pre-construction condos offer more affordability options compared to resales. For example, downtown Toronto pre-construction condo costs about $1,400 a square foot, and resale about $1,500 a square foot.
Who's the other one?
This price difference makes pre-construction condos appealing. Buyers are also customizing their units. Projects like the Well and the Tridel and the one by
That's the one that went bankrupt, yes.
are offer these options. Buyers are drawn to the chance. So they're going on like the market's outstanding, the market's wonderful. So this is the article you want to show your investor clients.
That's right. She was writing that.
And then I'm looking at, who's writing this?
Yeah.
There's no one off there. And then I'm looking at it again. It's from South Jersey, it's from New Jersey. It's an American newspaper that's reporting on Canadian GTA. So, and it doesn't have an author. I'm thinking, it must have been the president of Baker Real Estate or something that gave all the information, because it's all completely false. But
Interesting.
so
But it may tell a story if you're trying to sell a
So Donald Trump's right. Fake news.
That's funny.
Actually, I'm looking at it. It had to be like from 10 years ago. It's just like it was on Friday.
It makes no sense. Last week, we were talking about condos that were not built for today's family. We got quite a bit of interest on social media for that. TikTok is literally growing right now as we speak with comments and stuff. And about 90% of people are agreeing that condos are not meant for families. But we do have some naysayers on there saying, I don't agree. And I think condos are great for families. So, that wasn't my opinion last week necessarily. We're just reading you things as we see them. But just to give you an example, I know of a pre-construction building that just finished at Downsview at 3100 Keel. We bought a unit for sale there as well. They've got many units for sale. But I've got a friend who works very closely with the planning department of that condo to bring together families. So her sole job is to create things like community gardens, which they've launched in the building. And they've also developed a gardening team and what they're going to grow. And they've helped facilitate that. They've just launched a children's playground, and they had a big grand opening for that as well, where they invited all the families to come and use the playground and enjoy it as well. And so maybe we are wrong. Maybe some condos are meant for families in the way of amenities. So if not the unit itself, maybe there's some good amenities that everybody can enjoy as well. So not necessarily that every single condo is not meant or built for families. Maybe some of them are, but it may depend on the amenities and the sort of passion that people are bringing to that project and what they're doing, right? So that's interesting. Maybe there are some condos that can be built for families.
This is Keeler doing
This is Keely, yeah. And I've got a good friend that works on the planning team there. So it's interesting to kind of see both sides. People do care and they are paying attention. So even though the units may be a little bit smaller, there's tons of sort of outdoor green space that the kids can go enjoy. And I know for sure that particular building has tons of co-working, sharing, like meeting spaces as well, which can sort of lend a hand to those that are working from home. So, yeah. We've got the same article line by line. So this is related to, this was in the hot market. The situation was from 2022. And it's a warning to agents that if you've got buyers that are not going to close, you may want to be careful with the words that you use when you're trying to negotiate a lower price or some concessions. So let's say you've bought a property, you don't do the appraisal until closer to closing, which we'd recommend you do an appraisal during the conditional period or a lot closer so you have time. But let's say you don't, you do the appraisal close to closing. In this particular situation, the appraisal came in $350,000 under. And so the buyer's lawyer went to the seller's lawyer, and it was the words they used that got them in trouble. They said, we are demanding a $350,000 abatement. We're looking for a price reduction. And the way that they use the words demand and we're requesting. And as soon as you use words like that, you're an anticipatory breach of contract. So those harsh words are a signal to the seller's lawyer and the sellers that you are not going to close if you don't get this price reduction, and therefore legal action may need to happen. So the seller said, well, we're going to put it back on the market because the words you're using are scaring us a little bit. We're going to put it back on the market. Buyer's agent didn't respond. Closing day comes, the sellers go to the lawyer's office to close. They're all prepared to close, even though the house is still on the market. The buyers do not close. Buyer's position is, well, you put it back on the market, so you screwed up our ability to get financing. That was their position. The judge ruled and said, no, you requested a price decrease, and your words were, we were requesting it, we're demanding this, and that was anticipatory breach of contract, and they were found liable. So they were found liable for the damages during that period. The sellers also had another closing, so they're responsible for those damages, as well as the loss in the sale of the home when they finally did sell it again. So it was the use of words when the buyer's lawyer said we were requesting, we're demanding, instead of saying this is a situation, we're trying to work something through. They also did not agree to an extension. Sellers gave them an extension to try to work it out. Buyer said no, and so they were found guilty in that particular case.
So the buyer did not close. The buyer is responsible for $350,000. Now, we have another case here, just off topic here, Nelson. I'm looking at Nelson here. So you've got, let's say you're the buyer's agent, and you do you buy a property conditional upon inspection, and you find out that I don't know, that what the driveway's dug up or something that has to be fixed. Something has to be fixed. What you do as an agent, you give them an amendment reducing the price. And then the seller says, no, I'm not going to do that. Do you still have an option to waive it? Or is that option gone when you give that amendment?
This is a debate.
Yeah.
If we still have a time, we can waive it.
All right. So legally, once you give that amendment, you've given up your right to waive it. You cannot waive it now. Same idea they had here.
Yeah.
Just so you know. So that's why they're saying here, rather than doing an amendment, you talk over the phone, make it a request. Don't make it a demand. Make it make a request, get everybody on side, get everybody on the same side of the boat, and then do that, because you cannot go back. Now, if you did do that and you tried to waive it a second time, I would support you 100%, because I'm thinking that everybody wants to sell a house, let's move on. Right. But if somebody's pushing back, isn't Jenny, that's what the lawyer told you, right? What I just said? No.
Yeah, as soon as you've given an amendment, you put it back on the table. So if that amendment is not accepted, you can't go backwards. You've got to keep going forward now, right? So,
Right at the end, unless the buyer,
If the buyer doesn't agree, then we agree to waive it anyways.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
That would protect yourself, yeah. And then there's always
So just be careful. My point is that if you're negotiating, just be careful. Talk to myself and somewhere else. Just make sure you know what's going on. Just don't be throwing stuff out there thinking that's going to.
Yeah, and don't use words like demanding, requesting. Use words that are non-negotiable. Don't do stuff like that. You want to talk it through, because as soon as you use heavy words like that, it could be used against you. This was interesting. Maybe our buyer agents have seen this. Have you guys, listing agents, have you been charged for putting a lockbox up at a condo? Yeah. And do you get that money back, or do you pay a fee? So it's common, right? And is that in downtown Toronto? Are you seeing it in Peel? Yeah. So this realtor was beside herself. She was charged $100 to put up a lockbox in a Mississauga condo. It's just for lease. They're saying that the fees go right into the condo corp, and it helps them with, like things like theft or things go wrong, but it does go right to the condo corp. Could be seen as a bit of a profit center as well. This person was really upset. She's saying, why am I paying to put a lockbox inside of another box that's already full of lockboxes? What was wrong with having it in the stairwell? There's nothing wrong with that. She was so mad that she refused to pay. And instead, she's now meeting them at the condo and handing the keys off, saying, well, I don't have time, but I don't know, $100 versus the time to go to every single showing. I'm not sure which one I would do. I'd probably just pick the $100.
I'll show them. I'm going to show up at every one.
Yeah, exactly. She says, I don't have time to wait, but I mean,
I'll show them.
yeah. So if you're a busy realtor, you likely have other deals coming in. $100 is not going to be a big deal. Or I'd pass it back to the client, have them pay the lockbox fee, right, for their listing if you're really, adamant about it. But
I mean,
Well, that's not the agent's responsibility to pay for it. That's the owner's.
that's what I'm saying. So maybe have the client pay for it, right? They own the condo.
so if you're taking a listing in that building, make sure that the seller understands to put a lockbox there, he's got to pay another $100.
Yeah.
All right.
But it's common, right? You guys are nodding your head. It's not an unusual thing, right? So you've seen it before. And most times that I've seen, you give a bank draft or something, you get it back when you go back and pick up the lockbox, and they charge you to cut it. That's what the fee really is for. But in this case, they were keeping the $100 no matter what. It wasn't like they were going to get it back. So
This is secondhand. But you guys tell me, lawyers are phoning up listing agents saying, make sure there's a lockbox on the house and put the keys in it so that when the buyer can get that lockbox. Since when did that happen? And who's paying for the lockbox?
yeah, but typically the lockbox is already there from showings, right?
I go back and put the lockbox there.
Well, wouldn't it be there for buyer visits already? You'd have something there already.
When they do the visit.
Yeah.
Do visits, I'll remove lockbox and return the key.
Yeah.
There used to be a company out there called, who's the guy that Mark Weisler? Who's he with? Real Estate Shop?
RealestateLawyers.ca or no?
So
realestateLawyers.ca. He would buy the lockbox. He'd put the lockbox on the house. He put the keys in the lockbox and he charged the buyer for the lockbox. That's how it came out. Now all the other lawyers have caught on saying, why is he coming here to pick up the key? We'll just put a lockbox, but they've got smart. But they got smart. Are they charging the client? Why are they asking the agent to put their lockbox on them?
I can charge them.
Agents are not.
Well, I was getting that. Well, if the lawyer's charging the client for the lockbox, and if you're not billing them for it, then the lawyer's getting $50, whatever he's getting.
They don't your buyers, even though you. Exactly.
Anyway, so I didn't realize that, but I know it's funny how people are. Agents are funny. I have an apartment downtown. I've leased it a couple of times. Like I tried to sell it to, but I had a lockbox down there. Lockbox is still there today. Mine and 200 other ones.
Yep.
And there's only 10 listings in the entire building.
Yeah.
So what people are doing, they're not going down because of the traffic. Who's going to drive down traffic for a $50 lockbox? You're just going to leave it there, you're not?
Yep. But they should have a process where every year they audit them and they go snip them off, right?
That's the problem. They need the key in the lockbox.
That's true. I've seen that too.
I've left my key in the lockbox too because I figured if the tenant's gone, I need to get in there. I haven't got the key. I've got the key sitting waiting for me.
It's helpful.
So is that worth $100? Sure. it is.
Sure. Some condos are really organized now, though, where one way's got the hooks and they're all numbered. That's super organized. But I've even seen now like full on like locked boxes with them all contained and in a row and they're all tracked. And
It was funny. Tridell's down here, bonus.
Mhm.
They wouldn't allow to put lockbox on their property.
They still don't. They're still on a street post.
We would have nobody does it anymore. We'd have courtesy keys. And
Yeah.
here we'd have courtesy keys here of other people's listings. So people come here, pick up the courtesy, go down there, show the property, bring the key back here. So I went down to the management there and I said, okay, I know you guys have this policy, but you understand that the results of this policy means that I'm holding 50 keys for all these apartments in my office. Anybody can come in anytime, grab, break in and steal those keys. You guys are not putting the lock boxes, figuring out you're saving yourself time. Meanwhile, you're exposing your owners to a much bigger problem, I think. But they didn't get it.
No, they still don't get it because it's still on a street post right now. They're all like hanging out on the street. So I don't know how that's safe either.
The lockbox tree.
That's good. I don't have more economy stuff. I have more rules. So if you have more stuff.
You're doing rules? Okay. So condominiums, just so you know, where does the money go for the condominium? I thought this was cute. This is a new build. How much profit do you think a builder gets on a condominium? Anybody idea?
Not very much.
If they sell a $800,000 condominium, what profit would the developer, the builder get? What would you think would be a fair profit?
20%.
100,000.
20%.
Huh?
That'd be good.
So it turns out that the profit is 15% if they did everything right.
15.
15.
I think that's just the cap.
Yeah, this is downtown. Government fees and development charges represent 15% as well. Land itself was 6%. I'm surprised. I thought it'd be more than 6%. And the hard cost, of course, would be the actual construction was almost 37%, and the profit 15%. As I said, soft cost 18%. So it's not that much. I thought so. So on $1 million condominium, the builder might make $150,000. All that risk, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it is. Imagine that. And I think builders of low rise, I think it's like $50,000-$60,000. You've seen these guys
totally.
that you've seen these guys that develop like individual builders. They'll buy a bungalow, tear it down, build a house, and sell it. Their profit's like 60 grand.
This article also written from Baker.
Think so? You think they make more profit than that?
Oh, yeah. Always more profit.
Claire,
They're saying even 8%.
Remington used to buy the land 20 years before.
Yeah.
And then you think they buy high price? They buy a lot cheaper.
It's only 6%. 6% is the land cost. You think it's less than that? Even if it's 2%, 3%, it's not the big part of the whole expense though, right? The bigger expense of development. That was the purpose of the article, saying the problem with development fees. I thought this was a good ad. This is an ad that Charlton used to do. Anybody here from Charlton? Who's here from Charlton? Nobody. Nobody here? Anyways, okay. This is one of her agents, and she did it on, I guess, Instagram. She's advertising this property for $400,000, and she's saying for $20,000 down, you can move in this place with $2,100 monthly fee. So she's advertising the monthly fee more than she is the price.
This particular agent will actually, she's on TikTok as well, and these are her most viewed videos. So she'll actually pull up Rate Hub calculator and just show you the math and put it all in. And she shows you the net monthly, what you're going to be paying. And that's how she's attracting first time buyers. And she called herself the affordable home whisperer. And she's trying to really break it down, because right now is a perfect time to be getting into the market. And she's going crazy because people are still not jumping in and making offers. And she's like, I don't know how much lower it can get. I'm showing you exactly how to get into the market for, like I said, $300,000, $400,000. You can get into the market, right? But she gets a lot of good hits on this.
And that stuff on Keely's selling the 400,000. And it's brand new. So if you're looking for buyer sites, I mean, and to get things going, then this is not a bad strategy at all.
Yeah.
Right. So something to think about.
Yeah, that's true.
Another thing, just off topic here. I don't know. How do I phrase this? Doesn't really matter. We had a client from the States that wanted to buy something, and then it didn't work out, and then they ended up want to sell something, and they're talking to one agent, and then talking to a different agent, and then this is the property with a different agent. Doesn't really matter. But the fact is, this guy's from the States, doesn't know us from Adam. He went to this site called Agents Quanto, and the agents, it's a free site. You put your name on there, and somehow this guy saw, I guess it's whatever it was, Oshawa properties for sale, and this agent's name popped up, and they got a hold of the agent, and away they go. It's a 35% referral. It doesn't cost you any money up front, but it's a 35% referral. So if you want to put yourself on a website, something like that, Agent Pronto, Pronto, check it out, and maybe sign up for something like that.
It's supposed to be a trend now, because the Buzz Media Group they have a referral network group right now for $100 a year. You can join. So this might be a new thing right now.
It could be.
New trend. This is sort of a US stat. I wanted to talk it through more so, because it may not be relevant for us, but this was an article about how a record-breaking number of people backed out of deals in July. 60,000 people backed out of their deals in July. This is in the US. And I'm wondering if that's because they don't do closings like we do in Canada, where we have deposits and then we close and close. They close in escrow. So unless the money is in escrow, you can back out of the deal. Is that true? So 60,000 people backed out of deals in July alone. And this is the article that was talking about the political climate and how people are waiting to see what happens in election results. But that could not happen in Canada, right? We're bound as soon as we give our deposit.
Resale homes.
Yeah.
American resale homes, it's not closing to get the money in your hand.
It's pretty crazy. Eh? Imagine. So that's why on all those TV shows, Selling Sunset, all that stuff, you see everyone clapping, ringing the bell when the money goes through, because that's their signal that it's going to close.
They all get, but no, the deal's dead. So it's legal. It's perfectly legal. Nobody's been illegal. They get out of the deal, right?
Both seller and buyer can get out of the deal.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, state's a little bit different. I mean, Mike Ferry's saying that for years. Mike Ferry says the Canadian system's 100% better than their system because of that type of thing.
Interesting. I'll read this little cute thing. It's just kind of funny. This is from Between Appointments. If you guys follow Instagram, they're a little naughty sometimes, but this was cute. The heading is agents trying literally anything but reducing the price. You won't be able to see this clear. Oh yeah, I'm over here now. It's a little picture of like a flip-flop with socks in different varieties. So these are agents trying literally anything but reducing the price. So shuffling the image order. Have we all like changed the picture? That might help get more showings, right? Virtually staging photos. So you didn't do virtually staging before, but now you're going to go in and virtually stage them. Increasing the buyer agent comp percentage. So you're doing 3%. You're doing everything except for changing the price. Canceling and relisting repeatedly, even though we're not allowed to do that on the Tribe MLS system. So these are agents trying to do anything but reducing the price to sell their house. We all know that it's just going to be about price, right?
I'm just going to finish up and then you can finish your
Yep,
stuff.
okay.
Well, end it for 40,
Yep.
45. AI, has anybody done AI stuff yet? So and it's far more sophisticated than we're talking about right now. I'm just giving you ideas. It's far more sophisticated. You can get AI now where you take I think I said this a couple weeks ago, you take a picture of yourself and then you write a script and then yourself talks to your script that you wrote and that's your lips move and everything, right? So and if you don't speak the language, you can change the language if you want to, same thing, but it's all out there. But this guy here, talking about AI, he says, I've been using Chat GPT. You guys been using anything at all? Nothing? You can see it there, right? But there's other ones out there. There's what the article is saying here, don't limit yourself to one AI. There's all types of other ones out there. You've got Claude by Anthropic. You got Gemini by Google. You've got Perplexity AI. You've got Llama 2 by Meta. All kinds of these things. So it was just there's different things to fill around. You can use it to help you fill out description for a property. You can use it for a listing presentation. Chris was talking about having the answer for anticipate the questions. Okay, so go to ChatGPT or one of these other platforms there and type in the question and see what answer you get. You probably already know what the answer is, but I'd be kind of curious to see what else is out there. So I just fooled around last night. I thought, okay, let me just try something, see how powerful it is. I said to the ChatGPT, I said, do you know anything about trreb.ca and Market Watch stats? You guys know about treb.ca? You guys ever use treb.ca, trrb.ca? It's a quick way to get market stats. You don't have to you don't have to log in. It's just straight.
It's open to the public.
It's open to the public. It's a public platform. You can get the stats right there. You don't have to log into Treb. Anyways, it said yes. So I said, okay. So I gave it a condominium. So how much is a one-bedroom condominium in this address? And it came back and said, okay, the average, let's see, this one here was listed for this price, and that was listed for this price. And it gave unit numbers, gave units, so we think the average price is this. Straight up. I thought, well, that was cute. This condominium's easy. So let's try a house. So I did an old house there on 71 Bull Valley Drive, the house I grew up in, right? In Scarborough. I said, okay, give me the average estimated market value of your property at 71 Bull Valley Drive. I get E09. It came back, says it searched 4 sites. It says the average estimated value at 71 Bull Valley Drive would be $829,000 as of August 2024. This is for a single family home around 1,400 square feet of floor space, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. Doesn't have 4 bedrooms, doesn't have 3 baths, it's not 1,400. But 829 is probably not too far off.
Yeah.
It's only 3 bedrooms and it's 1,000 square feet. I grew up in the house with 5 kids and 1 washroom.
That was big.
That was big.
And a concrete place.
It's probably worth $1 million maybe today, Nelson, you think?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Okay, so it's not 100% accurate, but it's getting there, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, okay. I said, can you give me the comparables that you use? Oh, by the way, it also gave me the
source.
the CMA where it got the information. I said, do you see any comparables? And he says, yeah, here's some comparables at 71 Broad Valley Drive. It said, here's 42 that sold for this price. Here's 75 that sold for this price. And there's one in Ben Royal that sold for that price. So I'm not suggesting it's 100% accurate, but this time next year, be curious to see how powerful it might be, right?
It's scary too, like the client can be develop for help.
But they're still going to need you to validate it, make sure, agree with it, talk it through, strategize, right?
But I did something that was very interesting. I asked, so what can you find about me? And put my name and I asked, what can I do to be successful? So it gave me all the history of me, like he found it on the web and then told me, oh, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this for my previous job.
Okay,
So that was interesting.
That is interesting.
very curious, huh?
Like a little career coach for you.
An agent asked me last week, he says, can you tell me, got a client that's interested in, let's see, do you have any stat information to show over the past 10 to 20 years how prices have appreciated more in Ontario compared to Calgary or Alberta?
The big question.
That's the question. So they asked me in the past 10 to 20 years, can you compare Ontario prices to Calgary and Edmonton? So how long would that normally take to do? Right? So what I do, I just asked ChatGPT. And it came back and it said over the past 20 years, real estate in Toronto, Calgary, Edmonton have shown significant fluctuations in average home prices, reflecting broader economic trends, interest rates, and local factors. Toronto has seen substantial growth. It goes on and on for around $300,000 early sevens. Prices surged to over $1 million by 2023. The growth is driven by factors like immigration. Calgary, prices have gone from $200,000 in the 20s up to $550,000 in 2023. And Edmonton, it says, went from $150 to $450 in 2023. So then I went to the Calgary site, Toronto site, and Edmonton site just to confirm these numbers, and they're actually dead on. So this thing here went to those real estate boards, got the average price, and plugged into this thing here. So that's pretty slick.
It's helpful. It's a really helpful tool.
So if you get, I don't know, I can. Everything I'm reading, they're telling me that the AI is going to have more and more influence on our businesses. So.
That's true.
Gonna make us dominant and govern.
Or more efficient.
Well, okay, so I could have found that same information myself,
Sure.
right? I would have gone the same spots that the computer went to, but it did it in like 3 minutes.
And it summarized it nicely.
But we used to drive around without GPS, and now we can't go to the washroom without GPS.
It's true. Yeah. Well, now we get traffic updates, so that's good. Okay, you can piggyback on some of my stuff then. So everybody paid their RICO by the 23rd, so that was good. The official deadline is the 31st, but the 23rd deadline was to save you $35. So no one in here in this room needs to do that, but there's a couple people left, but so that's okay. Everybody did that. So you made the deadline for your RICO insurance. The next one that will come up will be your TREB, the big one in December. So we'll remind you guys that. I feel really bad because every weekend, every time I do training, I try to remind people about open houses and all the areas that you have to put it in to make sure it's advertised correctly. And every Friday I get a panic question, why isn't my open house on realtor.ca? And I feel so bad because I send emails every Thursday automatically. I talk about it here. I try to tell you in person if I know you have one. It doesn't fail. Every Friday I get this call. So there are 3 spots for open houses to advertise them. The first one obviously is in your MLS listing itself. So that's where agents will see that you're having an MLS. In MLS, that will not trigger a link to realtor.ca. So to get it on realtor.ca, you have to go into manage my profile or the new prop tech tool. There's 2 options. It will always direct you where to go. You update it there, then it will go on realtor.ca. Strategy wise, we recommend you don't do it as soon as you list it. You sort of want to do it on the Thursday or even the Friday, because you want people to book showings for that weekend and not just send their clients to your open house. So Nelson will always train you to post it on the Thursday or Friday so that it's still there, but not until later on in the week. That's the strategy piece. So MLS, realtor.ca is through prop tech or manage my profile. You can also put it on Broker Bay or ask the girls to put it on Broker Bay. So it's in the Broker Bay settings itself. That will get triggered to all of you guys as colleagues in the emails you get on Saturdays and Sundays. It's sort of bragging rights for yourself to show people that you're working and you're doing an open house. So there's those 3 areas you can put your open house. None of them are automatic or manual. So you either have to ask the girls to do it for you or pay attention to those 3 areas. I'm sure I will still get a call this Friday. Why is my house not on realtor.ca? And I don't know why it's so complicated. It should just pull from MLS. I don't know why it's a separate process, but that's to realtor, Broker Bay separately as well. Staff can do it for you. And even the staff can do realtor.ca now for you. That's new as of April. So the girls can do that for you now, which is really helpful. Yeah. You guys all got an email last week about some new training that TREB has done. It's some sort of professional training. I don't know why we're not advertising this more. I'll probably send a link to all of you, but it's talking about all the things we talk about now in a more concise manner. So you can actually go do an online TREB course reminding you about all the rules and professionalism. This was a new one. They must have been getting a lot of complaints about this, and it's a bit of a talking point for you as well. You ever see in the brokerage remarks where it says commission will be reduced by 1% if the client is shown by myself? They're advising against that because you can't interfere with a buyer's contract. And you can't openly interfere in your listing by putting in writing. If they're under contract with somebody, you can't interfere with that contract by stating you're getting commission from it. So even though you're saying it, they're not interfering if they go to an open house or if the client lies and doesn't tell you they're working with an agent. So our job as listing agents to qualify that person. Are you working with an agent? Are you under a BRA with the current agent? If yes, no, you're not going to show them that property. You're going to direct them back to their agent or have a colleague show them. This particular example, though, was related to an open house. So if a buyer has already been represented by a realtor and they come across your open house without a realtor present, remember to ensure that you're not interfering with another agency agreement. So even during an open house, you have an obligation to ask if they're being represented already. Secondary question could be, have you put in any offers with anybody? Because that would then tell you that they may have an implied contract, even though they don't remember signing a contract, but having done an offer could mean that. But they're recommending against never including remarks in your listing about withholding a portion of the cooperating commission if you show a property at an open house to a buyer already rep. So they're specifying open house as the key. I don't know who would ever say something like that about an open house. They must have gotten complaints.
I can see some guy up north showing a property to a buyer in an open house and saying, well, on my listing says if I show the property, I can take 25% off.
Yeah.
And they're saying here an open house wouldn't qualify because you're doing the open house anyway.
That's right. It's a public open
And
house.
what you're doing, you're interfering with that client.
And you're openly stating that you're interfering by putting it.
They're not coming to open house, they're calling you and they want to see the house.
Yeah.
And you want to show them the house.
Correct.
And they.
That's the intent. I know. That's the intent of the listing agent saying, hey, if I'm showing the property myself, I'm knocking 25% off. But the articles don't want open houses. So the same agent tried to do it through the open house.
No, the open house is not.
Yeah, and you can't.
Who says it's not? Because I showed the property, right? So they're just
They're
clarifying.
just reminding you, don't openly say you're going to interfere with the contract because you're not allowed. So definitely don't put it in your listing because that's not going to help protect you. The way to protect yourself is qualifying that particular person and making sure that they're not in an agreement and then getting your own VRA to show that property.
Well, that included on that Schedule D.
Sure. Still interfering with the contract though. So you don't want that person's in a contract, right? That's the problem. We can't interfere. This was also sent to everybody, but I like to remind you, you get information from Century 21 about new stuff that's happening technology-wise and event-wise. So they're hosting.
I just off topic here, just for a second here. I got an email on Sunday. Caitlin's got some leases out there.
Oh, I was.
Right? Anyway, so I get an email from this agent saying, hey, Caitlin's not available. I'm trying to get a hold of her. Can you get somebody to show her listing?
No. They asked if you could show the listing. Can you or Caitlin show my client the listing?
Show the client.
She gave her a 15-minute buffer, by the way. The email came in to Caitlin at 8:40. By 9 a.m., an email went to Claire asking if Claire or Caitlin could show the property, a lease in Whitby.
So it's our listing, but she wanted us to show her tenant because she was busy.
The broker record.
We'll do anything.
Claire said yes, no problem. No, I was
Did
kidding.
you guys get those? You guys get calls from agents saying, can you show my client
I do, but like
Yeah.
colleague to colleague, I'm not going to go escalate it to their broker of record after that. That's like going to my dad. In our case, it was literally going to our dad, ask him to do a
I
showing.
wrote back and said, look, we're not available here. Maybe get a colleague to do it. So that's why I was nice. So.
Yeah, of course. But it's cute. But no, you get a call. We all have enough colleagues to help each other out if we were ever in that situation. So don't escalate it to the broker of record to help you out. What made you think of that when I was doing it?
Well, we're talking about agents showing up
Okay, yeah.
clients' properties. So
True. Okay, so Century 21 has their conference coming up end of September. If you need tickets, you can still buy tickets. There's a Facebook page of people that bought them early bird pricing last year. It's only Ottawa. It's a 4-hour drive. It's not too far. It's 23rd to 25th. We will all be there, and about 20 of our agents will be there as well. I sent a spam alert last week. So Century 21 also confirmed that there was some spam going on. Last week's was really creative because it hit all of the keywords that you as agents would look for. So it talked about the transition to Realm and how you have 30 days to transition to Realm, talked about Matrix, talked about logging into Stratus. It had all these like key realtor type words. Even the links were accurate. So the link took you to a page that looked like an MLS login page. And so that's called phishing, where they're trying to get you to put in information somewhere. And as soon as you do, then it starts. They collect that information, then they can get access to your things. But this one was super creative because it looked legit. The links looked legit. I even Googled, like, they had like an email at the bottom that was a legit company in Toronto. So everything looked legit, except that I know for sure it was phishing. So these are just some reminders that, if you get things that like look unfamiliar, or it's like a name that looks similar to someone you know, but they have random like numbers or characters in it, that could be a flag. If they're asking for something that seems unusual or out of character, that's a trigger for you. That's a bit of spam or phishing. If they're demanding that you take urgent action or you're going to lose something or lose, that's another trigger. So anyone asking you demanding information ASAP is a trigger, but that could be spam or some sort of phishing. Email links to a website where you have to enter in information, spelling and grammar errors. For some reason, phishers and spam, they have errors, like they're not written well. You can kind of tell it's not that well done. If it just looks suspicious overall, and if the tone of the message is drastically different, like if it came from me and it sounds like me and you know how I sound, but then the email was like, sounded kind of mean, you know that's not me, that's another trigger that's probably spam. So just don't click on links and you can even report it as spam.
So what's about this particular email?
I don't know what they're trying to get, but it was an MLS link and you had to go in and enter in your TREB code and your PIN number. And it wasn't truly MLS, like the link looked legit, but it was a phishing back end, like it looked all the same.
I had an email regarding from Realtor.ca, requesting information.
Yes.
I thought what kind of information you need. This didn't answer much. He takes that email that I responded, goes back to another agent, who sends it through my email.
Yes.
And the agent was smart enough, she called me.
Yes.
I said, I haven't sent you anything like that.
Exactly.
Ignore it and block it. I
Exactly.
already blocked it because the number that he has is American number.
Yeah. Well, as soon as you responded, it gave them a trigger that, okay, this person's active. I'm going to use his name, but try to target someone else because they knew you're a real person too. Yeah, it's really sneaky nowadays.
Genuine Realtor.ca.
Yeah, crazy. All right, we'll just cut it off. We're done. We're power hours over. One more. They're looking for your favorite neighborhoods. So if you're really passionate about a neighborhood, Century 21 is looking to create some content on that. So let them know if you've got something that you want to share. And you want to do one scary rule? I have scary ones. You can do yours, so I can save mine. I have mine for all year. So
Okay, just to remind everybody here that you cannot, if basement apartment is not legal, you can't advertise on MLS that's basement apartment. The old guys are shaking their heads. New guys are saying, what are you talking about?
oh, of course, there's a lot. Yep.
You're not allowed, as a real estate agent, you're not allowed to advertise a property that's not legal. So you got to put in-law suite. You can't say basement apartment earning $3,000 a month if it's not legal. This person here did, she got fined $6,000.
Mm-hmm. We even advise against putting illegal basement apartments on MLS altogether, especially if you're leasing.
Oh
them
yeah,
out
yeah.
too.
If you're leasing out a basement apartment, you're trying to lease out like a $1,500 basement apartment, do a favor for somebody that's not legal. $6,000 fine.
Yeah.
So we should have listed
Of course.
basement apartment.
Yeah, there's
I
a
would
lot of
just respond on
non-compliant
that.
people
Let
out there.
them do it themselves.
Yeah. Or just avoid MLS, do it
Just
Facebook Marketplace.
tell the
or
client,
something like
put it on Kijiji, do it themselves. Right?
Yeah, because they're exposing themselves to getting caught, and then you're exposing yourself by putting in a tenant into an illegal basement apartment. So yeah, we see that a lot. To your point, they're all over. Yeah,
No, but a lot of people do it. A lot of people do it not knowing that you're going to get in trouble.
and a lot of people don't get in trouble, right? So
Even if it is legal.
No, it's legal. It's fine.
Of course, yeah.
Legal's fine.
So they are like 95% of basement apartments not legal.
Probably.
So
So we're advising no, don't put them on MLS and represent the tenant going into it.
I wonder how do you check? Seller says,
So why is it-
landlord says it's illegal.
Yeah, most cities, Nelson's good to answer this too. Most cities have an online portal where you can go in and put in the address and it'll say whether it's illegal or not, or they'll have a list in that city of those that have been registered with that city. I'm sure every city works a little bit differently, but
Many that have for
okay,
the city itself.
okay.
You have to be careful when you advertise it as well, because the city has got wind of that and it's come down and created a huge problem for the seller, the owner, to now fix it, and they blame the agent because I guess we listed it.
Yeah, in particular, okay, let's say Oshawa in particular. Oshawa is very, very vigilant. So if you list a property and say basement apartment, $2,000 a month, they got eyes somehow, and they go in there and the next thing you know, somebody's knocking on the seller's door. Oh, here you got a basement apartment that's not registered.
Yeah, but I was wondering, I guess all these basement for rent in MLS, there's 100 of them.
I'm telling you, but that's what I'm saying. Just because everybody speeds doesn't mean it's okay.
Oh, I mean, are they getting fined for it?
Not unless somebody complains.
I think it's like an Airbnb. They say you're not allowed, but then you go on an Airbnb.
Yeah, people do it anyways, but yeah, it's like the 100 kilometers on 401.
Yeah, so we're just advising you to be careful so you're not one of those people.
non-refundable deposit from the owner, the ones who rented the basement.
No, I mean, unfortunately, the owners themselves are doing all this stuff here and you guys are the ones that are getting caught and then doing stuff that's not right.
Yeah, you're just trying to earn some money and service a client, right? But yeah, there's rules. So.
Even some houses upstairs, you can have rented out.
No, that's true. Yeah. They're not to fire code.
Yeah.
Sorry, what are you gonna say, Sandy?
Walkout basement built by the builder, I mean, original property from the builder. How do you say that basement? Legal? It's a walkout.
You would just say it's a walkout basement. There's a category for it to be a walkout, but to make it a legal apartment, there'd be different rules about the door that separates it, and if it's fire rated or not. It's not just about the separate entrance. There's other rules as well. And every town, I think, works a little different. They have their own rules.
Just
So,
because it's a walk up from the builder, there wasn't a kitchen put in by the builder, it wasn't passed by the rules by the.
yeah, there's a whole list of things.
Walkout doesn't mean it's legal.
No.
The best ones, you go to the garage and the garage has a stairs built into it and you go down the stairs from the garage and that's, yeah, right. That's legal.
Yep.
Oh, Brampton is a very, you can
Yeah.
see various kinds of.
I'm sure.
arrangements.
Brampton, Scarborough, yeah.
Brampton, they have built those Highway 50 and Highway 7 area. They build a new house over there. They have a legal basement design. Like literally they have 3 entrances for the basement.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, they're.
I've had run-ins at Brampton too. I've had run-ins at Brampton, people doing illegal stuff and they've gone after them too. So Brampton's, they're, you might want to think that they're relaxed, but they're not really.
Mhm.
I mean, last thing you want to do in Oshawa, they had a problem when somebody died in an illegal second suite, I think on a second floor.
Mhm.
And there was a fire and it was not legal. People died, and that's when the Oshawa went nuts. So that's what's going on.
Anyone have any listings you want to talk about before we sign off? No, we're not meeting next week. It'll be a long weekend. So we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yep. Hopefully you get all the summer stuff out, go out there and do the last things you're going to do there, because come September, we're going to make some money.
So we won't see you next week, but have a good week and let us know if you need anything. And then we'll be back to school training, back to work, back to school. We'll do more training with Caitlin when she gets back. Take care, guys. Have a good week.